There's something magnetic about an X5, something that makes you say, I need one, because just wanting one is a gross understatement. My favorite X5 of all time is the first generation E53 model with a 4.8 IS V8 engine in Le Mans Blue. The proportions were just right, and those 315-section rear tires on such a small body gave it a powerful stance. That's what made me fall in love with the idea of one day owning a German SUV. 4 generations later, and here we are in the G05 generation, but does it still have that thing? That aura and that presence of its forefathers? Well, let's find out, because I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about its practicality, its features. I'm gonna take it on the road and tell you how it feels dynamically, and then tell you what it'll cost to own one. Welcome to the 10,000 subscriber celebration video, and without further ado, let's get started. Car Talks. Power, precision, performance. Shout out to BMW Santin for lending us the X5 to review. And if you're interested in any new or used BMW product, go ahead and check out their inventory on the Auto Trader website. Back to the reason that brings us here today. The LCI X5 xDrive30d is powered by a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbo diesel engine with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, producing 210 kilowatts and 650 Newton meters of torque. Power is sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed automatic torque converter gearbox. The xDrive system is a permanent all-wheel drive system, sending 60% of the power to the rear wheels and 40% to the front, so it is rear biased. It weighs a smidge under 2.3 tons and will do the 0 to 100 km/h sprint in a claimed 6.1 seconds. More on driving dynamics later. Moving on to practicality and features, you get a split folding rear tailgate for easier loading and bumper protection, and the bottom portion doubles down as a place to sit when you're having a picnic. You get 650 liters worth of boot capacity, and comparatively, this is 20 liters more than the Mercedes-Benz GLE, but 130 liters less than the Audi Q7 with the third row folded flat. Which is fair because the Q7 is over 100 millimeters longer than both vehicles. Nevertheless, you get a 40-20-40 rear bench split configuration and a manual parcel shelf. And that would be your space-saver spare wheel. According to the owner's manual, the lower tailgate can support up to 250 kilograms, and I was a bit tempted to prove that claim, but what if things went wrong and I end up damaging the tailgate? So I let my intrusive thoughts win and I left that thing alone. Anyway, you can individually close the 2 tailgates by pressing on the button found on the bottom part first and then pressing on the top part thereafter. Or you can simply press on the top tailgate and the bottom part will automatically close with it. Stepping into the rear, you get black Sensatec leather with diamond quilting, which you can upgrade of course to merino leather from 35,000 rands. What I appreciate about older BMWs, given that the G05 debuted in 2018, is that the cup holders are neatly tucked away and don't try and stab you when you want to use the armrest as an actual armrest. Newer BMWs, funny enough, such as the 5 Series and the i5, don't have any covering over the armrests. You get ISOFIX anchor points to safely mount your child seat. And speaking of safety, the X5 gets up to 10 airbags and a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. You get 4-zone climate control as part of the 100,000 Rand deluxe package, which also includes other bits and pieces such as rear privacy blinds and a panoramic sunroof, amongst other features. Behind the front seats, you will find a USB Type-C port on either side, as well as a docking station for your coat hanger or iPad. As part of the M Sport Package Pro, you get the tri-color M Sport seatbelts, shadow line which blacks out the exterior trim, and the M Sport brake calipers. As always, I'm 1.78 meters tall or 5'10", and I can comfortably sit behind my driving position with ample knee room thanks to the near 3-meter wheelbase, so adults will be fine on road trips. Stepping into the front, you get the M Sport logo on the door sills as well as electrically adjustable Sensatec leather seats. Even with the sensor tech, these feel really good and supple, and they cushion you in place, so I can only imagine how the merino leather feels. You get a 14.9-inch infotainment system that comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And the only thing I don't like about this system is that the climate control is now embedded within the screen. So realistically, you'd have to be stationary, I would imagine, while adjusting your climate control. Can't imagine driving and still having to faff around the screen looking for the right settings simultaneously. So the physical aircon buttons in the pre-LCI model made more sense because you know exactly where they are when you're driving. You get a 12.3-inch instrument cluster that is crystal clear, so I quite like the newer displays in the LCI model as opposed to the older pre-LCI because those were a bit dark and dingy. You get generous storage in the cubbyhole, which is lockable in the X5. And interestingly, you used to get this in a 3 Series in the early 2000s, but now seemingly it's reserved for your X5s and X7s. So the evolution has been interesting indeed. Nevertheless, you get more storage under the armrest, which has a USB Type-C port, as well as next to the steering column. You get a wireless charger and an additional USB Type-A port, a 12-volt socket, and 2 cup holders. And just out of curiosity, that would be the key fob. It's even got a carbon fiber pouch, which looks really good. In summary, build quality is honestly undeniable with soft touch materials all around. No rattles, no creaks, even at 10,000 kilometers. So, you are joining me from the inside of the recently facelifted G05 X5, and there are a few giveaways that this is the LCI, including but not limited to the panoramic dual curved display, the Wilson Toffee gear selector, a new headlight design as the iconic laser angel eyes have been discontinued, and a series of mild hybrid engines throughout the range. Now, I'm not going to mention all of the updates because I want to see who's an avid BMW fanboy or fangirl. So comment down below and let me know what other changes have been made on the LCI. This particular unit is on 275mm wide general grabber all-terrain tires, which are sitting on 20-inch alloy wheels in both the front and rear. So these are not the 315 section tires that X5s are known for in the rear. And actually, this was my first time ever seeing an X5 on all-terrain tires. So the previous owner must have been an avid off-roader or probably lived in a farm close by, because the vehicle also has rubber mats instead of the original mats that are stashed away in the boot. So it's someone who clearly spec'd it that way for a reason. The downside of this decision will be more road noise and less fuel efficiency amongst other issues. But if you think about it, it might be genius, especially given the road conditions in Johannesburg, because I can't tell you how many times I've had to replace my Pirelli P0s that were still fairly new because of pothole damage. Now, replacing tires when they're still new is another kind of pain, and the Pirellis on the X5 would set you back 8,000 rands a pop, excluding labor and wheel alignment, probably every single time you smash through a large pothole, whereas these just obliterate all of the potholes. Now, I was ducking and diving all of the potholes during the drive purely out of habit, but these all-terrains do give you the sense that they can drive over anything. And I know that this is going to be a contentious topic, but let's engage in the comments. Is it genius or is it pushing it a little bit? And would you actually spec an X5 with all-terrains? I know I wouldn't, but I'm sure those who do have their reasons for it. This unit is not fitted with the X off-road package, which gives you the 2XL air suspension and a differential lock to further enhance its off-road capabilities. But if I didn't know it, you could convince me that it had air suspension because it just wafts and soaks in all of the road imperfections. Speaking of off-roading, this gets a water wading depth of 500mm, and comparatively, the Range Rover Sport gets 900mm, so almost double, and that is thanks to its Land Rover DNA. The engine delivers peak torque from 1,500 RPM to 2,500 RPM, so plenty of load on grunt, and as soon as you put your foot down, you get a surge of torque, basically from idle. As part of the M Sport Package Pro, you get an M Sport exhaust which enhances the engine noise. Most of it is piped in through the speakers, to be honest, but who cares, it's a diesel. The vehicle belongs to the dealership, so I couldn't launch it unfortunately, but I could definitely mash the throttle from standstill. Now, BMW have coined the term Sports Activity Vehicle or SAV for their SUVs to further emphasize their focus on sporty performance and handling over the traditional truck-like utility that's often associated with SUVs. And you really do feel that philosophy coming to life in something as simple as the driving position. You can get really low in the seat and feel connected to what the vehicle is doing. You can definitely feel the rear bias nature of the power distribution in the playfulness of the vehicle around the bends. And to get all of this performance out of a vehicle that'll do over 1,000 kilometers per tank is just nuts. It comes equipped with 3 drive modes, namely Eco, Comfort, and Sport, as well as a 4th individual setting that allows you to independently set the engine, gearbox, and suspension to either Eco, Comfort, or Sport to your heart's desires. The gearbox is the 8-speed torque converter from ZF, which means the X5 is great at towing as well, with a brake towing capacity of 3.5 tons. Other highlight features include head-up display, a Harman Kardon sound system, a lane keep assist with blind spot monitoring, ambient lighting, and a 360-degree camera. The X5 gets a 2-year unlimited kilometer warranty and a 5-year 100,000 kilometer motor plan, which covers all scheduled maintenance and repairs for normal wear and tear, and includes components such as brake pads, brake discs, and wiper blades, to name a few. So for the first 5 years of ownership, your only major expense apart from financing and insurance is fuel and AdBlue. Claim fuel consumption is 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers on the combined cycle, and I was averaging 8.3 liters in this city. So I believe that the 7.8 is easily attainable once you start mixing it up with highway driving as well. Before we get to pricing and the cost of ownership, thank you for 10,000 subscribers, and none of this would have happened without you. For now, we're not on the road to anything yet, so let's just soak it in for the next few weeks, and we'll see when we get to the 1-year celebration video next month what our next milestones will be. But for now, if you're enjoying these videos, then please do hit the subscribe button and become a part of the family. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a single one of our epic reviews. Moving on to pricing and the cost of ownership, the 30D is essentially the cheapest brand new X5 that money can buy and kicks off the range at 1.81 million rands. However, the one we're driving has been spec'd up to just under 2.3 million rands when you factor in the optional extras that we discussed earlier. But you can get this model with only 10,000 kilometers on the clock for 1.87 million rands from our friends at BMW Santon, saving you 400,000 rands. Above that is the xDrive30d, which produces 280 kilowatts from the glorious B58 engine for about 40,000 rands more than the 30D. There is also a plug-in hybrid xDrive50e, which also employs the B58 engine together with a 25.7 kilowatt-hour battery and a combined power output of 360 kilowatts. That one starts from 1.93 million rands. Above that is the xDrive M60i, which starts from 2.2 million rands and gets a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 petrol engine, the S68, which it now shares with the more powerful X5M, although in a lower state of tune because it produces 390 kilowatts in the M60i variant. That engine is also used in a series of Range Rover and Range Rover Sport models, including the P530, the P615, and the P635. So it's definitely working overtime. Topping the range is the X5M competition, and no, we don't get the non-M competition variant in South Africa. It employs the same 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 S68 engine found in the M60i, but putting out a massive 460 kilowatts. Pricing starts from 3.3 million rands. And that, by the way, is also another key distinction between the LCI and the pre-LCI models, because the pre-LCI M50i got the N63 engine, which is a non-M division engine, but its cold start sounded even better than the X5M, in my opinion. Whereas with the LCI models, both the M60i and the X5M get the same S68 engine from the M division. Yeah, you will be missed in society. Farewell N63, farewell. And regrettably for the LCI, the M50D is no longer available, so the only diesel you can get is the 30D. So, if we use the base xDrive30d without any optional extras, on finance, it would cost you 34,000 rands a month over 6 years at the current prime interest rate of 10.25% per annum. Insurance is risk profile dependent, and the cheapest quote I got was 4,800 rands. A full tank of diesel will cost you 1,500 rands at the current inland price of diesel for the 80-liter fuel tank. And by the way, I extract the recommended retail price of fuel at the start of every month from AA, but you might see higher numbers at the pumps, which would then bring your total cost of ownership to 40,000 rands. Some say a BMW is the car you buy while you wait for a Porsche. And that statement may be fair to some degree. However, I think BMW deserve more credit than we give them because, for instance, an M3 and xDrive will cook a lot of 911s, especially the lower trim ones like your Carreras and your Carrera Ts. So I would argue that even with the X5, it outshines in many respects SUVs from brands that would be considered as even more premium. If you want a seriously capable off-roader from your SUV, then you buy a Range Rover Sport. If you want sporty driving dynamics that feel like you're driving a performance sedan, you go for the Porsche Cayenne. But if you want the best blend of those two worlds, the X5 is second to none. It really is the benchmark, and I would argue that it still lives up to the legacy that was created by the first generation, and even exceeds that. But let me know in the comments what SUV you're getting from around 1.8 to 2 million rands. Once again, shout out to Ngamla7 for lending us the vehicle. And if you're looking for any new or used BMW, then reach out to him on Instagram, or better yet, give him a call. His phone numbers are in the M3 review, which I will link in the description box below. Upon arrival back to the dealership, we came across a very mint-looking Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT Coupe. So that got me thinking that the economy is not doing too badly after all.
The economy is doing wonderfully.
And by the way, my advanced driving training also came in handy today because I managed to park the X5 on the dealership floor myself. At this point, I'm basically part of the furniture, man. I must just get a desk and review every single model they have from Mini and BMW once and for all. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.